the threats are emerging at an alarming rate, escalating more and more rapidly. So it's not so much about what the threats are specifically, it's about how to be able to rapidly adapt to emerging threats. So collecting the logs from all your different systems is one thing, but to actually have a system that's intelligently combing through those logs and finding the threats that are emerging, finding patterns of behavior, and alerting on that as they're occurring is what's really key. Because there's going to be a new threat every day. It's always emerging. There's always new threats. So having that correlation system that tells you exactly when it's happening, when the threat is occurring, so you have to have a system that's going to be able to let you adapt, be able to look for things that are more behavioral based, and be able to share that information between different companies around what the different threats are and how to adapt to that. I'd say one of the biggest things that's one of the top challenges is not external attacks per se, but more people inside not having the diligence to make sure their systems are changing passwords regularly, using hard passwords, not using shared accounts, things like that. Because if you have a shared account that's embedded into a script and it's being used for year after year after year, if you have an administrator that leaves the company, they can give that username and password to a malicious organization or attacker. They can get in and now gain access to the systems because they're hard-coded and they're not being monitored. Through the use of correlation, you can actually tie activity from those individual users to the identity of that particular user and then monitor for malicious activity, whether it's actually a malicious insider of the organization or whether it's somebody that's actually taken over their account and is now doing malicious behavior within their account without that user knowing. The auditors need to take an active role, and I think also government entities need to have regulations that require people to do this because it's a business decision, right? If it's going to cost me $5-10 million to rebuild an application not to use shared accounts, then businesses might just say, hey, I'm just not going to do that because it's not worth, I'm willing to accept the risk for that amount of money. But if auditors are detecting these kind of situations, finding them, if regulators are requiring people to remediate these situations, then it's going to force companies to do the right thing as opposed to just looking after profits. It's definitely a challenge because on one hand, it's cheaper. It makes a lot of sense to give somebody that control and access, but now you're trusting your entire security infrastructure to an outsider. And are they doing logging? Are they doing monitoring? How do they know if somebody actually, penetrated one of those accounts, have compromised the account, and now somebody's doing something malicious inside of that cloud environment? So I think a lot of work is going to have to be done to help protect that cloud environment from misuse. So having logging standards, requiring those cloud providers to do actual tracking of usage, correlating that activity, and providing those results back to the company that's leveraging that cloud environment so they can actually know for sure that it's being done correctly and there's nothing going wrong. I think regardless whether it's in the U.S., India, anywhere else, people are going to have to really take a hard look at are those systems being protected, what mechanisms are being put in place to protect those environments, and you can't really trust that they're doing it unless you can actually verify that. The more information you can collect, the more clear the picture is going to be of what's actually happening in that environment. So just as one example, if you only have a single transaction that has an IP address and some action they took, let's say a SQL select statement from a database, that doesn't let you correlate that same person did something where maybe they clicked on a website, downloaded some kind of malware, and it's now doing a scan across the network. You're not going to have that correlation or that picture be complete if you can't tie that individual IP address the user logged in with to the user that just did that other malicious activity. So if you can tie all the IP addresses, all the user IDs to a single identity and then have correlation across everything that person is doing over a period of time, then you can have a true picture of what's going on and alert somebody much faster than otherwise would be done.